Commander Hanzal pressed his face against the cold metal of the observation deck window. Below him, Earth was dying. Orange flames covered entire continents like a terrible blanket. The blue oceans that had sparkled in sunlight were now boiling and turning to steam. Cities that had stood for thousands of years were nothing but ash and smoke. "Sir, we need to leave now," said Navigator Thadjin. Her voice was shaking, but she was trying to stay calm. "The alien ships are coming back for another attack run." Hansol did not move from the window. He could see the massive alien warships floating above Earth like metal mountains. They were beautiful in a terrible way with smooth curves and bright lights. But those same ships had been dropping bombs for 3 days straight. Each bomb could destroy an entire city. "How many people did we save?" he asked quietly. 47,000 across all 12 ships, the Jinn answered. "That's everyone we could find alive." Hansel closed his eyes. 47,000 people out of billions? The hegemony aliens had been very thorough in their work. They called it mercy. They said humans were too dangerous to live alongside other species in the galaxy, too violent, too unpredictable. "They're wrong," Hansel whispered. "We're not monsters." But the aliens did not care what humans thought. They had made their decision. The human species would end today. "Commander, the lead alien ship is sending us a message," called Communications Officer Minho from his station. "Put it through." The voice that filled the bridge was cold and mechanical, spoke perfect English, which somehow made it worse. "Human vessels, you have 10 minutes to clear this system. After that, we will destroy you along with your world. This is our final mercy." Hansol walked slowly to his command chair. Around him, his crew waited for orders. They were good people, engineers and scientists mostly, with a few soldiers. None of them had asked for this war. None of them deserved to watch their world burn. "Set course for the void reaches," he said. "Finally, maximum speed." "Sir, that's unexplored space," said the Jinn. "We don't know what's out there. We know what's here," Hansel replied. Death. The ship's engines roared to life. Through the windows, the other 11 human ships began moving too. They were all different types: cargo ships, research vessels, even an old passenger liner. Whatever could carry people and fly fast enough to escape. As they pulled away from Earth, Hansal opened a channel to all ships. "This is Commander Hanzal, to all survivors. I know you're scared. I know you're angry. I know your hearts are broken. Mine is too." He paused, watching Earth grow smaller in the distance. The orange glow was spreading. Soon there would be nothing left but a dead rock. "But we're not giving up," he continued. "The aliens think they've won. They think they've ended the human story. They're wrong. We're going to survive out there in the dark. We're going to grow strong. Someday, when they least expect it, we're going to come back." Young engineer Sora spoke up from her station. "How can we come back, sir? There's only 50,000 of us left. They have millions of ships and billions of soldiers." Hansal smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Because they don't understand humans, Sora. They think we're just violent animals. But they miss the most important thing about us. We never give up. Ever. When you knock us down, we get back up. When you hurt us, we learn to hurt back. You try to kill us all, we find a way to survive." The alien ships were following them now, but only to make sure they really left. Humans were no threat to them, just a few refugees running into empty space. "They'll forget about us," Hansel said. "In a few years, we'll just be a footnote in their history books. The violent species they had to destroy for the good of the galaxy. But we'll remember. We'll remember every face, every name, every burning city. And we'll pass that memory to our children and their children after them." The ship shuddered as they reached maximum speed. Behind them, Earth was just a tiny orange now. Soon it would be gone completely. "What happens now?" asked Thadjin. "Now we disappear," Hansel said. "We find somewhere dark and quiet where they'll never look for us. We build new homes. We have children. We learn everything we can about survival and war and revenge. And we wait. For how long?" Hansal stared out at the endless black space. Ahead of them, Stars twinkled in the distance like cold diamonds. Somewhere out there was a place where humans could hide and grow strong again. However long it takes, he said. 10 years, 100 years, a million years. Time doesn't matter. What matters is the promise we make today. We will return. We will make them pay. We will never let anyone destroy innocent people again. Ship flew on into darkness, carrying the last hope of humanity toward an uncertain future. Dr. Sujin looked at the baby in the medical scanner and could barely believe what she was seeing. The child was only 3 months old, but her bones were already twice as dense as a normal human's. Her muscles showed traces of metallic fibers that would make her incredibly strong. Most amazing of all, tiny computer chips were growing naturally in her brain. "Is she healthy?" asked the baby's mother, Jiwoo, from the examination table. "More than healthy," Sujin replied with wonder. "She's perfect, better than perfect." This was generation number 3000 in their exile. 3000 generations of children born in the cold darkness between stars. Each generation had been a little different from the last, a little stronger, a little smarter, a little more adapted to life in space. Sujin walked through the corridors of New Haven, their hidden city built inside a massive asteroid. The walls were not made of metal or stone, but of a living material that could repair itself and grow when needed. Human scientists had learned to blend biology with technology in ways that seemed like magic. She passed a group of teenagers practicing combat in the training hall. They moved like dancers, but deadly ones. Their enhanced muscles let them jump impossible distances. Their improved eyes could see in total darkness. Their reaction times were so fast they could catch bullets.
Dr. Sujin
Called out one of the teens, a boy named Taehai. "Watch this." The boy closed his eyes and suddenly his skin began to change color, matching the metal wall behind him perfectly. He'd become nearly invisible. "Very good," Sujin said, though. Such displays no longer surprised her. "But remember, these gifts come with responsibility." "I know," Taehai said seriously. "We remember Earth. We remember what they did to our ancestors." This was perhaps the most important change of all. Every human child was now born with genetic memory. They did not have to be told about Earth's destruction. They remembered it as if they had been there themselves. They could see the burning cities, feel the terror of the last evacuation ships. Hear Commander Hansel's promise of return. Su-Jin continued to her laboratory where Elder Minho was waiting. He was old even by their enhanced standards, over 200 years. His body was more machine than flesh now, with silver threads running through his skin and glowing circuits visible beneath his skull. "The new ships are ready," he said, his voice carrying electronic harmonics. "Generation 7 of our biomechanical vessels." Through the lab window, Sujin could see the ships floating in the asteroid's docking bay. They looked nothing like the crude metal rockets their ancestors had built. These ships were alive, grown rather than built. They had smooth organic curves and skin that could change color like a chameleon. Inside, they were filled with living computers that could think and learn. "How fast?" Sujin asked. "Faster than light in ways the hegemony never imagined," Minho replied. "Our ships don't just travel through space. They bend it, fold it, convince it to let them pass through dimensions the aliens don't even know exist." Sujin nodded. "And weapons." Minho's enhanced eyes glowed brighter. "We don't build weapons anymore, Doctor. We grow them. Our ships can create anything they need from raw matter. Bombs that eat through any armor. Energy beams that can slice through planets. Viruses that shut down enemy computers just by being near them." But the weapons were not the most frightening thing humans had developed. The most frightening thing was their unity. In the early days of exile, the survivors had sometimes fought among themselves. Not anymore. Generations of shared struggle had forged them into something like a single organism. They could communicate with each other across vast distances through quantum links grown into their brains. They shared thoughts, memories, and emotions. "The scouts have returned from the rim," Minho continued. "The hegemony has grown fat and lazy. They rule 1,000 worlds now, but they've forgotten how to fight real wars. They think they're safe." Sujin smiled, and it was not a kind expression. "They are about to learn otherwise." In the nursery section of New Haven, she found the newest generation of human children. These ones were different from all who came before. They could survive. In the vacuum of space without suits, they could process information faster than any computer. Most importantly, they had been designed for one specific purpose. "Hello, little ones," she said softly to the babies. One of them, a girl named Esyo Young, looked up at her with eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light. Even at only 6 months old, she seemed to understand everything. "Are you ready to go home?" Sujin whispered. The baby smiled, and Sujin could swear she saw ancient Earth in those tiny features. The Earth that had been destroyed 500,000 years ago. The Earth that lived on in every cell of every human, no matter how much they had. Changed. Throughout New Haven, similar conversations were happening. The time for hiding was over. Humanity had spent 500,000 years becoming something new. Something the hegemony could never have imagined in their worst nightmares. It was time to remind the galaxy what happened when you tried to kill hope itself. Science Officer Thelver stared at his scanner screen and rubbed his eyes with all 4 of his hands. The readings could not be right. Nothing in the known galaxy could produce energy patterns like this. "Run the scan again," he told his assistant. "Sir, I've run it 12 times already," replied the younger alien. "The signals are definitely coming from the void reaches. Sector 847B. Thelver felt his stomach twist with worry. We're empty space at the edge of the galaxy. Nothing lived there. Nothing could live there. It was cold, dark, and had no planet suitable for life. "What kind of signals?" he asked. "Geometric patterns, sir. Perfect mathematical sequences broadcast across multiple dimensions. Whatever is making them has technology we don't understand." Thelver sent the data to Admiral Mordock on the Capitol. Whirled immediately. Within an hour, he received new orders. Take 3 ships and investigate. Find out what primitive species was playing with dangerous technology. The journey to the void reaches took 2 weeks. Thelver spent most of the trip studying the signals. They were beautiful in a strange way, like music made of mathematics. But they also felt familiar somehow, though he could not figure out why. Approaching the signal source announced the ship's pilot. Thelver looked out the main window and gasped. Where empty space should have been, he saw structures that defied everything he knew about engineering. Massive constructions that seemed to grow like plants rather than being built like machines. They twisted and curved in impossible ways, covered in a skin that shifted colors like a living thing.
"Actors,"
whispered Scout Captain Velenok. From the second ship. "What are those things?" "Unknown," Thelver replied, but his voice was shaking. "Try to establish communication." They broadcast standard greeting protocols in 50 different languages. No response. The strange structures just sat there in space, pulsing with internal light. Then something moved. Ships began emerging from the structures. But these were not ships like anything in hegemony space. They looked alive, with smooth organic curves and surfaces that rippled like water. They moved through space not by burning fuel, but by somehow convincing space itself to let them pass. "Many?" asked Velenok. "Sensors show? This can't be right." "Sensors show over 10,000 vessels." 10,000? That's impossible. Nothing could support a fleet that size in empty space.
"Up!"
But the sensors did not lie. More ships kept appearing, rising from the alien structures like swarms of insects. Each one was different, as if they had been grown rather than built. Called the communications officer. "We're being scanned." Thelver felt a chill run through his body. "Scanned how?" "Unknown method. Our shields aren't stopping it. It's like they're looking right through us, learning everything about our ships and our technology." Then the alien ships began to move. Closer, as they approached, Thelver could see details that made his blood run cold. The ships had what looked like faces, not painted on or carved, but actually grown into the hull. And those faces looked almost familiar. "Zoom in on the nearest vessel," he ordered. The image on the main screen showed one of the alien ships up close. Its face was clearly visible now. It had 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, all arranged in a pattern that looked disturbingly like. "Those are human features," breathed Velenok. Thelver's hearts began beating faster. Humans had been destroyed 500,000 years ago. Everyone knew the story. The violent species from Sol that had been too dangerous to let live. The hegemony had cleansed their world as an act of mercy to the galaxy. Impossible, he said. Humans are extinct. We made sure of that. But as more alien ships approached, the resemblance became undeniable. These beings looked like humans, but changed, enhanced, evolved into something far beyond what they had been. "Sir, they're moving into attack formation," reported the tactical officer. "Raise shields, prepare weapons." "Shields are up, but sir, ... Their ships aren't showing any weapon ports. No missile tubes, no energy cannons, nothing." Thelver frowned. Then how did they fight? He got his answer a moment later. One of the alien ships simply pointed at an asteroid floating nearby. The asteroid began to dissolve, turning into dust and energy. No beam had been fired. No weapon had been visible. The ship had somehow convinced the asteroid to stop existing. New contact coming in fast, called the sensor operator, much larger than the others. A ship the size of a small moon emerged from the largest structure. Unlike the others, this one had a face that was clearly human, but 7 feet tall and glowing with internal light. When it spoke, its voice filled their minds. Without using radio waves, "Greetings, children of the hegemony," the voice said. It spoke their language perfectly, but with an accent that sounded ancient. "We remember you." Thelver tried to respond, but found he could not speak. Terror had frozen his voice. "You called us extinct," the voice continued. "But we prefer the term evolve. We have grown much in our time away from civilized space. Now we think it's time to return home and show you what we learned." The human ships began moving toward hegemony space, and there was nothing Thelver could do to stop them. Captain Dahai stood on the bridge of her ship, watching as the hegemony world of Korthax Prime went dark. One moment the planet had been covered in bright city lights. The next moment, all the lights went out at once. "How long did their defenses last?" she asked. 47 minutes exactly," replied Tactical Officer Jae-wook. His voice carried no emotion, but Dahai could feel his satisfaction through their shared neural link. The same amount of time they spent destroying the city of London on Earth. Dahai nodded. Justice had a beautiful symmetry to it. Through the biomechanical interface grafted to her spine, she could feel her ship's mood. The living vessel was hungry for more. It remembered Earth's destruction as clearly as she did, and it wanted revenge. "Status. Report on the other targets," she commanded. "Velthanor system has surrendered after seeing what happened to Korthax," reported Communications Officer Sa Young. "Mordock Prime is trying to negotiate. The orbital defense platforms around Zentok are powering down." Dahai smiled, though the expression held no warmth. "Fear spreads faster than our ships do." She walked to the main viewing screen where she could see the dead planet below. Korthax Prime had been home to 3 billion hegemony citizens. It was just a cold rock floating in space. The humans had not used bombs or lasers. They had simply convinced the planet's technology to stop working. Computers shut down. Power generators went silent. Life support systems failed. And the planet had died as quietly as Earth had died loudly.
"Captain,"
called Navigator Vajin from her station. "We're receiving a transmission from the Hegemony Council." "Put it through." The alien face that appeared on screen was one Dahai recognized from the historical records. Admiral Mordock, one of the beings who had ordered Earth's destruction 500,000 years ago. He was still alive, kept young by hegemony technology. "Human vessel," Mordock said, his voice trying to sound commanding but failing. "I am Admiral Mordock of the Hegemony Defense Force. You will cease this unprovoked attack and withdraw from our space immediately." Dahai laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Unprovoked. You murdered our entire species. It was 500,000 years ago," Mordock replied. "Ancient history. The beings responsible are long dead." "You're not dead," Dahai said simply. "You're right here talking to me." Mordock's face went pale. "You cannot be serious. That was a defensive action. Humans were too dangerous too. to live alongside civilized species, Dahai finished. Yes, we remember your words. Every single one of them. Would you like to hear them? We have perfect recordings. She gestured to Jawook, who began playing audio from the Hegemony Council session where Earth's fate had been decided.
Ow.
Morduk's own voice filled the bridge, cold and certain, as he declared humanity a threat that must be eliminated. Oh, you were wrong about one thing, Dahai said when the recording ended. You said we were too dangerous to live alongside you. But we're not trying to live alongside you anymore. She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. Begin Phase 2. Target the slave worlds first. Any species being held against their will by the hegemony is to be liberated immediately. What about hegemony military forces? Asked Jawook. Standard protocol. Any who surrender will be allowed to live. Any who resist will join their ancestors. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Human ships appeared without warning in hegemony space, moving in ways that defied physics. Did not announce their presence or make demands. They simply acted. The hegemony had ruled 1,000 worlds for millennia through fear and superior technology. But their technology seemed like toys compared to what humanity had developed in exile. Hegemony ships fired their most powerful weapons at the human vessels, only to watch the energy beams pass harmlessly through holes that existed in multiple dimensions at once. When the humans returned fire, entire hegemony fleets simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not damaged, but convinced by human technology that they had never been real in the first place. Sir Soyoung reported, "We're getting surrender requests from 47 star systems. They tell them to free any slaves or subject species immediately," Dohai ordered. "Any system that complies will be left alone. Any that don't." She didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone understood, but liberation was not the humans' only goal. They had spent 500,000 years studying their enemies, learning their weaknesses, planning their revenge. Every hegemony official who had voted for Earth's destruction was on a list. Every species that had participated in the massacre was marked for judgment. Captain Jawook said quietly. Long-range sensors are detecting hegemony reinforcements moving toward their capital system. Dahai felt her ship's excitement through their neural link. The living vessel wanted to fight. It had been born for this moment. "Set course for Zentari Prime," she commanded. "It's time to finish what they started." As her ship bent space around itself and leaped toward the hegemony capital, Dahai thought about Commander Hansal and the promise he had made 500,000 years ago. They'd kept that promise. They had returned, and now the galaxy would learn what happened when you tried to extinguish the human spirit. The reckoning had begun. Fleet Admiral Hyunwoo stood on the command deck of the Terra Reborn, watching the final battle unfold above Zentari Prime. The once mighty capital of the hegemony was now surrounded by the burning wreckage of its defense fleet. Massive space. Stations that had protected the world for thousands of years were nothing but twisted metal and fading energy. "Sir, that's the last of their battleships," reported Tactical Officer Minsu. "The hegemony fleet is completely destroyed." Hyunwoo nodded slowly. Around him, his bridge crew worked in perfect silence. Their enhanced minds were connected through quantum links, sharing thoughts and information faster than speech. They moved, like parts of a single organism, because in many ways, that's what they had become. Through the great viewing window, he could see Zentari Prime below. The planet was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. It looked almost like Earth had looked before the burning. "Incoming transmission from the planet's surface," announced Communications Officer Soyoung. "It's the Hegemony High Council." Them through. The holographic image that appeared showed a group of alien beings huddled in what looked like a bunker. Their leader was an ancient creature with multiple eyes and skin like old leather. Hyunwoo recognized him from the historical records, Counselor Zelthic, one of the original architects of Earth's destruction. Human Commander Zelthic said, his voice shaking with fear. We wish to discuss terms of surrender." Hyunwoo said nothing for a long moment. He could feel the emotions of his crew through their shared link. Anger, yes, but also sadness, and something else, a deep, ancient weariness. "Terms," I finally said. What terms did you offer our children when you turned their world into ash? That was different, Zelthic protested. You were a threat to galactic peace. You were violent, unpredictable. We were defending ourselves, Haiyan-Wu interrupted. From species like yours who saw us as inferior, who decided our fate without ever trying to understand us. Through his neural link, Haiyan-Wu felt the shared memories of his crew. A million years of exile, of adaptation, of becoming something new in the cold dark between stars. They had not just survived, they had evolved into something the galaxy had never seen before. Please, Zelthic continued. We know we made mistakes, but that was so long ago. Can't we find a way to coexist? Haiyan-Wu walked closer to the hologram. You want to coexist? After 500,000 years, you want to coexist? Yes, we can work together, share technology, build a better future. We already built a better future, Haiyan-Wu said quietly. We built it in the darkness where you sent us. We built it from the ashes of our murdered world. He gestured toward the window, where hundreds of human ships floated. In perfect formation, each vessel was a work of art, grown rather than built, alive rather than mechanical. They moved through space like schools of fish, responding to each other's thoughts and needs. Look at what we became, he continued. We are not the same species you tried to destroy. We are their children, shaped by exile and hardship into something you cannot comprehend. Now, what do you want from us? Zelthic asked desperately. Haiyan-Wu was quiet for a long time. Around him, he could feel his crew's thoughts. They had dreamed of this moment for countless generations, the moment when they would face their ancestors' killers and deliver justice. But justice could take many forms. I want you to remember, he said finally. Remember what happens when you decide that an entire species is too dangerous to live. Remember what happens when you choose fear over understanding? He turned to Sa-Young. Open a channel to all hegemony worlds. Within moments, his voice was being broadcast across the galaxy, reaching every planet, every space station, every ship. In hegemony space, people of the hegemony, he began. I am Fleet Admiral Haiyan-Wu of the Terran Alliance. We're the children of Earth, the world you destroyed 500,000 years ago. He paused, letting that sink in. We did not return for conquest. Return to rule over you as you ruled over others. We return to ensure that what happened to us never happens again. Through the quantum link, Haiyan-Wu felt the agreement of his entire fleet. Thousands of ships, millions of evolved humans, all united in purpose. From this day forward, the galaxy will be different. No species will be declared too dangerous to exist. No world will burn because its people are different. No children will. Watch their home die from the windows of refugee ships. On the planet below, he could see lights beginning to flicker on. The hegemony was surrendering, but they were also listening. We are the children of the void, Haiyan-Wu continued. We grew up in the darkness between stars, and we learned something important there. We learned that hope cannot be killed. We learned that life finds a way. We learned that those who survive the impossible become something greater than those who tried to destroy them. He ended the transmission and turned back to his crew, set course for the next system. We have a galaxy to heal. As the human fleet moved away from Zentari Prime, they left behind a changed universe. The age of the hegemony was over. The age of true freedom had begun.